If I can go ahead and have your attention, we'll get started. It is a little bit after 10 o'clock. First of all, I want to welcome everyone to Troy University's Montgomery campus. My name is Lance Tatum. I serve as the Vice Chancellor for the Montgomery campus. Before we get started with the formal part of the program, I would like to take just a few minutes and recognize some individuals who are with us today. First of all, from our Board of Trustees, President Pro Tem, Senator General Dial, Mr. Lamar P. Higgins, and Mr. John Harrison. We'd also like to recognize that we have members of our Montgomery campus advisory board with us today, and I want to thank them for being a part of this. We'd also like to go ahead and recognize Director Chris Murphy from the Department of Public Safety, and Director Murphy will have some comments a little bit later on in the program. Also with us from our senior leadership is Dr. John Dew, who is the Senior Vice Chancellor for Student Services and Administration, and Dr. Jim Bookout, who serves as Senior Vice Chancellor for Finance and Business Affairs, who played a very important role in allowing us to bring the Barnes & Noble Cafe to the Montgomery campus. The order of the program will begin with Dr. Hawkins, who will make comments in the announcement, followed by Mayor Todd Strange. We'll then have a brief photo opportunity with Barnes & Noble and the senior leadership of the university. We'll ask Director Murphy to come in and make a few comments about the expanded partnership announcement. And then at that time, we'll invite Mayor Strange to come back up to the podium. At that time, there are some things that the city would like to announce within this setting. So again, thank you. I'd like to now introduce Dr. Jack Hawkins, Jr., Chancellor of Troy University.
Thank you, Dr. Tatum, and what a pleasure it is for all of us to join together today and to see another step of progress made in the great city of Montgomery. And I welcome you. Delighted our trustees could be here, and members of the advisory board and community leaders, and in particular Mayor Strange. Thank you for your presence today. It was many years ago that John Kennedy said, "We neglect our cities at great peril." And one of the points of comfort that I've had as I've watched the evolution of Montgomery is to see the concern that has been demonstrated and the leadership that has been manifest in preserving and building upon a great heritage. And I think all of us can take great pride in what has been achieved. I think today is another step along that journey. And it really does reflect the partnership that we've shared over the last decade plus with Barnes & Noble, because it was in 2005 that we opened the first collegiate bookstore in the state of Alabama. And so we have had a great friendship with Barnes & Noble, and today to see this evolutionary step occur is really encouraging for all of us. I wanted to take us back, though, just very briefly to the history of Troy University and the city of Montgomery. It was in 1957 when we began teaching nurses at St. Margaret's Hospital. And that led and gave rise to a great school of nursing that today even offers the doctorate in nursing practice. In 1965, we began our work at Maxwell Air Force Base when we established an extension center. Whitley Hall was purchased in 1972. 4 years later, the Paramount Theater was purchased. Today we know that as the Davis Theater. In 1985, the family of Dr. Tom Bartlett donated Bartlett Hall. Later, the sale of that facility gave rise to the Rosa Parks Library and Museum, which has been a cornerstone of the city of Montgomery since its opening 15 years ago. However, my introduction to downtown Montgomery, this particular area, on a personal note, occurred in 1987 when Dr. Adams invited me to do a commencement address in the Davis Theater. And when I drove up, I began looking for the campus, and I saw a lot of buildings that were closed, a lot of doors that were nailed shut, a lot of things that were not reflective of much progress in downtown Montgomery. And so it was that mindset, I think, that I entered this picture with Troy in 1989. And then some great things began to happen by David Bronner and the city of Montgomery, and all these things came together that gave us hope. It was with the sale of the Bartlett building, though, Bartlett Hall, that we made a major step. And thanks to the leadership of Mr. Lamar Higgins, a member of our Board of Trustees, we saw the money that was received from the sale of that building invested in the Rosa Parks Library, and we opened that on December the 1st, the 45th anniversary of the arrest of Ms. Parks in the year 2000. 6 years later, because we were seeing so many children come to the Rosa Parks Library and Museum and not understand the years of segregation, that we invested several $1 million more and opened the children's wing. In the aggregate, we've seen almost 600,000 people come into this community to take advantage of that historic trip backwards. And so I think this part of the city has anchored in many ways the renaissance of the total city. And so I think it's important that we recognize the progress, but also the dynamics that are in play that really do excite you. When I look around this community and I see the condos going up, and I see the Bell Building being renovated, and I see what's happening throughout downtown Montgomery, it does carry me back to John Kennedy's comment when he did make that statement that we neglect our cities at great peril. We are not experiencing that in Montgomery, Alabama. We're experiencing just the opposite of that. And so today it's my pleasure to address and I see a picture here, and a picture's worth 1,000 words, and we will see in the next few months the evolution of this facility, and it'll serve us well. It'll offer Starbucks in a Barnes & Noble cafe setting. It'll give us a way to double the space that currently is dedicated to that purpose. It will allow a one-stop shop for all of our students, and in this changing period of time, in terms of changing delivery systems, we have to recognize students are learning in a different way. It used to be in the classroom. Today, it's not just in the classroom. In fact, 1/3 of our students in Montgomery are served at a distance, but they still need an academic home. And one of the things that I think we can take great pride in at Troy University is not only high tech, but it's high touch. And the combination of those represent the future of higher education, and that's exactly where we want to be, and that's on the cutting edge of all of that as we serve our students. And so the construction begins soon. We hope to open the facility in March of 2016, and so we'll see that progress being made along the way. But it's done in the spirit of partnership. We couldn't have a better partner than Mayor Strange and the city of Montgomery, Barnes & Noble. And I often go back to the words of the greatest of all Alabamians, Helen Keller, when she said, "Alone I can do so little, but together we can do so much." I think as we continue to work together, recognizing it's in the spirit of progress, that we will see great things accomplished in downtown Montgomery. So it's a real pleasure for me to say to you that this is yet another small step on a long journey. Thank you so much.
If you had been watching closely, you would have seen the fraternity handshake between Dr. Hawkins and myself. He's very generous in not articulating the history of our relationship. It goes back to Sidney Phillips and Murphy High School back when he was in the 8th grade, and he was in 7th grade, I was in the 8th grade. And you know, when I had the chance to deliver the commencement address at Troy about 3 years ago, I knew I had the newspaper from Sidney Phillips somewhere in all of my repertoire. It took me a day and a half to find it, but it was a jewel, because in that, Dr. Hawkins' flat top picture was there, and he had about 8 different who's who deals, you know, most handsome, the best dressed, most likely to succeed. And I'm right under him and I'm the most studious. And so I take great pride in the fact that we have survived this relationship. But more importantly, Troy, as Jack has articulated, really does anchor this part of our community. And if you think about the state capitol, you think about the Biscuit Stadium and the riverfront, and you think about Troy and all of the things that are happening in between. And now that the decision has been made and Barnes & Noble is going to be expanding and offering Starbucks, and our city council and Charlie Jenright here representing them had the great wisdom to allow them to come on to the sidewalk so that we can reach out in the community, and that helps the bottom line of Barnes & Noble, which I know helps Troy University. I've said it so many times, Troy was doing development in downtown Montgomery before it was cool to be in downtown Montgomery, and we celebrate that, but we thank them and we do appreciate them. He mentioned the Bell Building, under contract. Plans are being developed. It will go to bid pretty soon. The Jeff Davis, old Jeff Davis Hotel has been sold. It will be renovated here. The partnership that the city and Troy have had has been legend, because they come to us with a project. Dr. Lance Tatum coming on board, and Ray White, his predecessor. When you saw Troy coming, you knew it was a great opportunity, but you knew it was going to cost you a little something too. But to be able to knock buildings down and to build parking lots and to clean up areas around here. And there's still some areas that we need to make sure that we pay attention to, but we're growing in together. So soon we will have so many other things. The relationship that we've had with Troy is more than just in these facilities. Obviously, the Davis Theater, my wife served on the original board of the Davis Theater, raising the money for the renovation and all of the wonderful times that we've had in that facility, to the planetarium that Rick Evans runs. Rick Evans, where you just come step in the room if you don't mind. He didn't wear his astronaut suit today, but Rick Evans is an employee for Troy University, but yet he runs the Gale Planetarium for the city of Montgomery. And we collectively put in about $600,000 a year and a half ago to give him tools to be able to educate not only the kids that come through, but adults as well. And just a commercial for the Gale Planetarium, I had the opportunity to have a birthday not too very long ago, and Dr. Hawkins and others were at that. We had it at the Gale Planetarium. We had a wonderful experience, and then we learned about the universe, and we learned about the ocean. So I would encourage our adults to go and be a part of that as well. The Rosa Parks Museum, and he mentioned the 600,000 visitors. You know, we've been enjoying for the last 3 years the leadership role in the percentage of occupancy of all of our hotels. And downtown hotels is in the 75% occupancy. And I guarantee you that a good portion of that 600,000 stayed in not only the downtown hotels, but other parts as well. And now we come not only to the expansion of Barnes & Noble, but to the academic side. For many years, we've had a great relationship with AUM. We will continue to have that relationship as it relates to our public safety organization, but I know that Director Murphy, Chris Murphy, will talk about the new relationship that we have with Troy. Again, they came and offered us something that we had not been able to do, some very specific design of some master programs that we'll be able to offer to our public safety organizations, and perhaps even beyond that. So we're just excited to be a part of this, to have the opportunity to say thank you in a very public way, not only to the leadership, but to the Board of Trustees who really are at the core. We will talk a bit about, in a minute, the Rosa Parks Museum, and something that we look forward to in December of this year. We had a very successful 50th from the Selma Montgomery March, but right on the heels of that is another great opportunity with the 60th. And as soon as we talk a bit about the educational opportunity, we'll make some other announcements that I believe will play a significant role in the furtherance of the historical aspect and all of the great things that have come because of that. Because many people will tell you that if it had not been for the Rosa Parks and not standing up on the bus, that we might not have had the 50th. So the 60th is a very important time frame. Lance, I don't know whether you want me to introduce Chris Murphy or whether you want to introduce Chris Murphy, but I alluded to the fact that about 6 or 8 months ago, Chris came to me and said that we've had a great relationship with sister institutions here, but we wanted to expand that. And this is an opportunity to do something a bit different from where we are. And so, Chris Murphy, if you would come and talk about that relationship, because as Dr. Hawkins said, we together can do great things. I'm always reminded of that very simple phrase that in team, there is no I. And if we teaming together, whether it be with MIA or whether it be with Troy or whether it be with the county, with the state, many organizations, we can do great things. So, Chris, if you'll come and talk a bit about that, and then I'll follow you. Thank you, sir.
Well, good morning. Thank you. We've talked about partnerships a lot today, and Troy is such a great partner to downtown. But public safety has a special partnership with Troy, and we have for a while. It really started with the Rosa Parks Museum when we created a curriculum for all police recruits. It's called Policing in a Historic City, Civil Rights and Wrongs. And we end that 8-hour curriculum with a tour of the Rosa Parks Museum. That's really special, because our young police officers need to know the history. And they weren't even born when all the dramatic things happened of 60 years ago and certainly 50 years ago. So that has been going on for 3 or 4 years. We kind of stole the idea from the FBI when they have lessons of the Holocaust in D.C., and we have a unique ability to capitalize on that history. So thank you so much for that relationship at the Rosa Parks. Now we're moving into an academic relationship that I think is going to be very special, because Chief Finley and myself and Chief Jordan of the fire department, all of us believe that professionalism comes when you have education, when you have training opportunities and academic opportunities. And so for many years, way before I got here, the police department and fire department have paid the tuition to educate their firefighters and police officers. Well, we're going to expand that, and we're going to do to all 4 agencies of the public safety, not only police, strong criminal justice program here at Troy, but into fire. We're looking at the ways that we can do that. Fire science, things that we don't really have a physical location to do that, certainly anywhere in this area. I think that's going to be a huge advantage for the 430 plus firefighters that we have, and I think it's such a small niche that it's going to spread all through the state. But they're also willing to talk to us about ways they can help us with our Department of Communications, our call takers and our dispatchers that are such an important portion of calling 911 when people need help. Their house is on fire, or they have some medical emergency, or they're in need of some police services. They've got to call 911 first, and we want those primarily ladies, but men and women, to be able to have that professionalism. And so we're going to expand it to communications as well as emergency management. So the public safety portion of the city will move another step toward the most professional we can be, certainly in the state and in the region, thanks to Troy and that partnership. And so we're very, very excited and very appreciative of Dr. Tatum and everybody that has really come with us with open arms. How can we help? Not, we don't do that here. And that kind of attitude has just been really important. So thank you very much. And I think the citizens of Montgomery and the River region will see great benefits from that as our police officers, firefighters, and public safety workers become more educated and have that academic base. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Director Murphy. And just to expand on that just a little bit, obviously Troy University wants to be a partner in what is happening in the River region in terms of business affiliation, supporting business growth, and also what we can do to help contribute to workforce development. The relationship that we have with the Department of Public Safety is something that we are going to work very hard at. We are very pleased that Director Murphy and the mayor are so open to the idea of letting Troy become more involved in how they professionally prepare those individuals that serve within those units under Director Murphy. At this time, we'd like to call Dr. Hawkins, Mayor Strange, Senator Dial, and the regional manager of Barnes & Noble, Mr. Bobby Hummus, to come forward. We're going to do a small toast and photo opportunity for Barnes & Noble, and then we're going to move to the second part of the activity. So if you would, please come forward.
No, General, what my vision of this photo op was is we're gonna have these glass mugs, and we're gonna toast, and then we're gonna crash them into the fireplace. You've done that before, haven't you?
Several times.
Does it have cream and sugar?
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's one I grabbed too. I keep drinking black. Was this the first sip for us and for the giant sip for mankind?
Well, if it is, give me your copy of it. Black.
I'm more than happy to swap.
No. Yeah, you get in the middle.
Here's to Barnes and Noble, here's to Troy, here's to Starbucks, and here's to the great community of Montgomery.
Here, here.
Here, here.
Here.
Very.
At this point in time, we would like to call forward President Pro Tem of the Board of Trustees for Troy University, Senator Gerald Dial.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's great to be here. You know, it's great to be a Trojan. This last Friday, we had a great event at Troy. We announced our new athletic director. In just a few days, we're going to start our football season under a new head coach. What a great time to be connected with Troy. And we're all excited about that and all the things that's going to happen. It's a new tea time in Troy. Tea time don't mean tea time where you drink tea with your little pinky. It means it's time that Troy begins to take its rightful place as being one of the leaders as educational university, not only here in Alabama, but in the nation and all over the world. So we're excited about being part of Troy. We're here today for a special event. And Mayor, I can't tell you how happy I am to have a Starbucks this close. We won't have to go from the State House to Ann Street anymore. We can come downtown. And let me tell you how significant that may be. And I hope we get it open pretty soon. If we have it open for the special session, I might be able to get enough people down here and get them a Starbucks that'd be able to go back and work and get a budget done. So maybe that'd be significant. But it's going to be significant for us. So thank you and the council. You know, every great institution has to have great leadership. We're most fortunate at Troy to have Dr. Jack Hawkins leading us and leading the university on into the future and the great opportunities we have to continue to expand. You know, leadership comes at a time when this state and this nation and this world is crying out for leaders. So, Jack, thank you. And Mayor Strange, you're providing that same leadership here. I don't know what y'all drank at Murphy. I hope we could, and don't tell us. But it must have worked because you two guys are great leaders and have done a great job of leading the university and leading this city. We're very proud to be a part of that, and we're very proud. And on behalf of the trustees, we look forward to other great adventures here with Troy and the partnership we have with the university and with you here in Montgomery, Alabama. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Dr. Hawkins. Thank you, trustee members, for being here. God bless you, and go Trojans.
Well, let me quickly thank Troy for allowing us to dovetail on this because it is part and parcel of Troy when we talk about the Rosa Parks Museum, the original as well as the Children's Museum that got opened afterwards. And Chris Murphy's already alluded to the role that that particular educational part of Troy plays in the curriculum for our police officers. I don't know how many in this room, if I ask you what was on the sign in front of the Rosa Parks Museum, could in fact answer that question. Okay, Lamar Higgins, trustee, Lance, anybody else know what's on the sign? Well, I didn't until about 3 years ago. One side of this sign articulates the role that Rosa Parks played on that spot, which was the spot where she refused to stand up, having got on the bus there around where the fountain is, 2 blocks later. On the other side, it's the legend of Hank Williams and the fact that he must have had some performance in that theater, which from a historical perspective was the first air-conditioned theater in the United States of America. And so as we started thinking about the 60th and what event that we could incorporate into that because, frankly, the Montgomery Improvement Association is taking a leadership role in organizing this. Michael Burdell, if I could find Michael and Griff Waller, Michael is in fact in charge of coordinating the activities of the 60th. And as I said earlier, many will tell you that if it had not been for the 60th, we would have never have had a 50th. Maybe it would be only a 40th or something now. But as we've begun to think about that, and we've begun to think about some of the things that Hank Williams has around this city, and some of the things that certainly Rosa Parks, that both of them deserve their own historical marker. And so in December, we will be unveiling a historical marker, double-sided, for Rosa Parks. And any of those Hank Williams fans out there, fear not, because we'll have a double-sided historical marker for Hank Williams when we decide where the statue is going to be and how, if we can make something more significant to the Rosa Parks Museum. So the Vannas, there's only one real Vanna here. This is, in fact, the verbiage that will be on the sign, and if you will indulge me, some of the older folks in the back probably cannot read that. But this is what it says. Rosa Parks and the Montgomery bus boycott. On December 1st, 1955, civil rights activist Rosa Parks was arrested on this site for refusing the orders of a Montgomery City Bus Lines driver to vacate her lawful seat under the segregated seating laws of the Jim Crow era. She was taken from the bus without incident, first to City Hall and then to Ripley Street Jail. She contacted Mr. E.D. Nixon, who, as a community activist of long standing and local president of the NAACP, was joined by attorney Clifford Durr to bail her out and drive her home. The Montgomery bus boycott began on December 5th, the day of Parks' trial and conviction. Acting alone, Ms. Parks took a tremendous risk by defying the bus driver, and her actions served to catalyze the plan developed by Women's Political Council President Joanne Robinson and attorney Fred Gray to paralyze the bus system of Montgomery and demand better treatment for black citizens in public services. Under the leadership of Dr. Martin Luther King, the resulting bus boycott lasted 381 days and affected thousands of Montgomery residents. Encouraged by the success of the boycott, Dr. King went on to lead the American civil rights movement of the 50s and also of the 60s. With that, I would like to call to the podium Mr. Joe Kaver. He is the vice president of the Montgomery Improvement Association. Robert James is, in fact, the president, but Robert is not feeling well these days, and Joe is coming to bring greetings and words. But I just want to tell you and tell him that there is another partnership that's being developed with so many organizations led by MIA that will, in fact, have a significant celebration of the 60th come the first week in December. Joe, if you would come.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm honored to be here to represent the MIA. As you know, the MIA has been around for close to 60 years in December, and its mission is in the name, Montgomery Improvement Association. Our effort is to improve the city, starting in 1955, 56, even today. We have been active in historical markers. We worked with the city recently on the Janella Ditch project, and we're working on a marker go in front of the county courthouse to commemorate all of the historic civil rights cases. We are working with the city, Troy, Alabama State, and all entities on the 60th anniversary of the Montgomery bus boycott. A little side note, I was across the street with Mrs. Carr when the old marker was dedicated. I saw the Hank Williams side, and I said, oh, okay. Both are historic.
What role did he play? Huh?
Well, I understood the story. And now with the movie coming up, I think we probably need to do something to commemorate Hank Williams. But my role also, if you've been through the Children's Museum, the Montgomery Time Machine, I'm Dred Scott. Dr. Thomas Stewart got us together. We went to Homewood, Birmingham area to record all of the scenes in that feature. And I remember my 2 lines of Dred Scott, we shot it 69 times.
Oh, my God.
And I said, well, I know this is not my job. I kept my day job. But that's my experience with theatrical production. Mr. Mayor, we are here to support you. We're here to support the city. We're here to support Troy. Call us if you need us, and we are happy to serve. Thank
God
you.
bless you. Thank you. As we close, at least this portion, I don't know if you have others to say, I really couldn't help but think, going back to our Hyundai experience, recruiting them in Montgomery, Alabama. During that period of time, we learned a toast, which is Kachikapsida. But the translation speaks volumes about together we go. And so all of the entities that we have talked about this morning, all of the relationships that have lasted for so many years, all of the successes that we have had is but a prelude to what is out in the future. And so what I would say to Troy and to MIA and to any other organization that we're partnering with, Kachikapsida, because together we will go to make this a great, great city. Thank y'all. Thank you, Lance, for that.
I'd just like to reiterate to everyone how important it is to Troy University and the Montgomery campus to be a part of what is happening in the city of Montgomery. We take our role very seriously in Montgomery. We are here to serve the adult student population, to provide them with flexible and affordable opportunities to advance their education career. We have, over the last year, been very fortunate and working very hard in establishing a number of corporate and public partnerships with individual groups throughout the river region. We want to continue to do that. I want to thank everyone for their attendance this morning for these announcements. This now concludes our activity. Thank you.
Okay. Can I go back to my John Kennedy quote? I love that because I think it captures the spirit of this. Yeah, it was John Kennedy who said, "We neglect our cities at great peril." And I think it's encouraging for all of us to continue to see the developments in downtown Montgomery. And those developments will have a ripple effect with all the condominia that are being constructed, the renovation, the new retail, new entertainment venues, and this part of Montgomery that sits right in the heart of what has been the genesis of the Renaissance, if you will, where the Rosa Parks Library and Museum is located, Federal Courthouse. This will bring even another resource to an under-resourced part of the city. You know, with our Barnes & Noble Cafe, now people will have a place for Starbucks coffee. They'll have a place to retreat to in a beautiful setting. It'll give us, too, an opportunity to serve our students more effectively because so many of our students are non-traditional. They're adult students. They come after work, for example, and they need that spot where they can go and have a quick bite, cup of coffee, and then move on to class. But there also needs to be, and this will allow us to have that, a one-stop shop for our students. They need many things, and they don't have much time, and so they can come and more effectively utilize their time, get what they need. And too, a lot of our students no longer come to class. At least a third of our students take at least one course at a distance, but they still need to come to campus on occasion. So this is not only for students, but for the community, and I think it'll it'll continue in terms of the beautification of downtown Montgomery. It'll be a nice addition to this city.
Well, I think if you look at it's inside, and it's going to be expanded inside, but it's also going to spill out onto the sidewalk. That took some special council approval. The precedent was already set with some of the others down around the alley area. But this is just a great confidence builder for not only Troy, but for this end of Montgomery. There's so many things that are going on. New restaurants are coming, new residents will be here, and as the Senator talked about, perhaps there'll just be people wandering up this direction to be able to get that good Starbucks at Barnes & Noble. Troy and Montgomery have had a great relationship over the years, and just to take that next step, sooner or later, there's going to be other facilities that are going to be needed here, and we just continue to work to make sure that partnership stays strong.
Well, you know, currently students and faculty and staff who work and go to school here in Montgomery do not actually have available to them right now a consistent and quality food service. One of the things that we've been talking about for the last year is how can we provide a more dependable food service option for people that work at the university. So in discussing with Barnes & Noble, a renovated bookstore, we immediately saw the opportunity to expand into one of their cafe options. And so even though it's a Barnes & Noble cafe, it will serve Starbucks products. You can still get the frozen, the lattes, the frappuccinos, and those things that you get at any Starbucks location. But they'll also add into that sandwiches and soups and salads. And so it just gives our students and faculty and staff, as well as people that work around the campus, another food option for lunch.
We're very excited about this. We're excited about Troy's attitude. They have just really said, what can we do? How can we better serve you? And we're excited because my agency heads and I'm very convinced that professionalism comes with academia and education and training and as well as the experience, and you can't really replace either one of those. And so Troy has, we have a great relationship with another sister agency, sister academic institution, and we're excited about that, but we're excited about Troy's willingness to kind of expand that. We've been particularly lacking in the fire science area, and so we struggle more to have our firefighters these opportunities, and so they're really willing to come to the table and say, how can we do that, working with the State Fire College, those kind of things. They have a good solid criminal justice program already, and so many of our officers take advantage of that, and we'll continue to encourage that and expand that, not only in the undergraduate but the master's level as well. But to add fire science to this, or some form of fire science to that, and emergency communications, those communications worker and emergency management, that is really a niche that hasn't really been filled much of anywhere in Alabama that I'm aware of. And so we're excited that that will be in our capital city, and I think other agencies will be able to benefit from that, not only in the river region, but throughout the state.
I'm particularly proud of the growing partnership that we share with the city of Montgomery. We've always been close. This allows us to be even closer. As we look at those first responders, for example, the police, the firemen, the dispatchers, those people who are so critical to public safety. This gives us an opportunity now to increase our service to them. You know, they need education. We're in a very convenient location for the majority of them, and I think so those who want in-class opportunities, this will serve them well, and it'll also make available to them our online capacity. So I think it's a win-win situation for the city and for Troy, but particularly for the men and women who will benefit from the educational opportunities.
Well, first, Troy is offering a 10% discount for any of us, and then the city will actually pay for all or a portion, depending on the course and the logistics of that going to get your courses. It has to be a related course, so we can't really let a public safety person come get a horticulture degree, but if it's a related subject, we want to pay for that. We want to encourage you to do that, and eventually we want to tie that into promotions and advancement up, so that when we have leadership in this city, in this public safety agencies that are well educated and well experienced and can make those tactical decisions, they can make those strategic decisions, and so you really want both of that. So we're encouraging it by funding, putting our money where our mouth is for the city. Troy's doing it by giving discounts and willing to kind of work those curriculum together so that it is meeting that need.